Drought and a burn ban. What does that mean for North Carolina? Hi, my name is Jalen Jones, digital producer here at WRAL. Today we're talking about the drought and the burn ban here in North Carolina. Sit down with our amazing meteorologist, Chris Michaels, and he's going to break it down for us. Here's that conversation. Chris Michaels, thank you so much for spending some time here. Amazing meteorologist. I love working with you.
Always fun, man.
Hey,
We always have a good time.
It's always fun. And I wanted to open up and talk about, I don't think I've ever been in a drought as bad as this before in my lifetime.
It feels like it, and part of that, I mean, for me is like recency bias.
For sure.
Like you always go back to the last thing that you experienced. But this one's rough.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate thing is, as we'll talk about, is the impact it has on business and livelihood, and people already struggling with other factors. And this doesn't seem to have a clear way out.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I like to be positive, you got to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Rain chances are slim,
Very slim.
moving forward. So, yeah, this could be a little tough if we don't get some help here pretty soon.
So for people that do not know, North Carolina is under a burn ban.
Mm-hmm.
We've been under a drought for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, looking forward in the long-term forecast, we're going to be in a drought for a long time.
Yeah. And the entire state is in a drought, right? So the drought monitor is broken up into different categories.
Mm-hmm.
77% of the state is in a severe drought, and 17% of the state is in an extreme drought. So in both of those situations, that's when you have to start factoring in loss of either money or loss of crops.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big agriculture kind of thing, but also water restrictions. So for instance, I have aqua, and I got a notice talking about like certain times of the night or certain times of the day that you shouldn't be doing XYZ, like watering the lawn or something like that.
Understandable.
So, yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that's starting to come out of the woodworks, and I would have imagined that more things like that would happen. But, yeah, the burn ban, we've had people asking, how long is it in effect? Like, it's in effect until it isn't in effect, until further notice,
Mm-hmm.
We just got to get some good rain.
Yeah, we have to. And then burn bans encompass like, no burning leaves or anything.
Right.
I can still barbecue, correct?
Yeah, if you have like a closed-top grill. So, for instance, I have a Blackstone on my deck. I could use that.
Okay.
It's open-air burning that you can't go doing. Like, I have a fire pit in my backyard. Ain't touching it. Nope. I mean, I like to go out there and have a drink and sit out and enjoy the night, but that's just...
Love to decompress that way.
Yeah. It's just not happening.
Oh, man. Well, hey, it's the things that we give up to have a healthy environment and also make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah.
So I do have a question, right? So North Carolina, for people that don't know, we have the coast out in the east and we have the mountains in the west.
Uh-huh.
Which area does the drought affect more severely? The mountains, the in-between, or the coast?
I think it's going to affect different places differently.
Okay.
The thing that I'm most concerned about in this particular instance is all the tree damage from Helene.
Okay.
That's going to act basically as embers for wildfires.
That makes sense.
For years to come. We've seen experts saying like this is not just a 1 year, 2 year kind of thing. Years to come, you've got all the downed trees that are just kind of there with dry vegetation now with the drought. So in this particular case, I would say the mountains unfortunately stand the chance of being impacted the most. You would hope that in the summertime you get those storms that form along the coast, like you can set your watch to it kind of thing. But we need more than just scattered storms,
yes.
And my fear, and I hope that there's no data or science to back this up. It's just a fear in the back of my mind is like, are we going to need to have a tropical system to get rid of this? I hope not, right? Like, because you don't want to go dealing with the ramifications of that. But we need 8 to 10 inches of rain. And you don't want to get it all at once. You don't want a tropical system to do that. You'd like to kind of chip away and fall into a nice wet pattern. But I'm like, man, we better not. It's again, not backed by science or data or evidence or anything. It's just one of those things in the back of my head that I'm like, I really hope that's not how we break out of this.
Well, as a meteorologist, you can be thinking, okay, what's a solution to this problem?
Yeah.
And with hurricane season right around the corner, it's a possible, hey, a low category 1 where no one gets hurt might not be a bad idea.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, don't want anybody getting hurt and like having to pay a price to get rid of another issue, kind of thing. But it's on the table. We've talked a little bit very early on as to what hurricane season might hold, and the early indications are that the overall number of storms would be less than average. But last year was less than average, and we had Chantal come through and flood Durham and Chapel Hill and Hillsborough and all those places. So all it takes is one. Think of it like baseball. A guy could be hitting below average all year, but if he has one big home run in the postseason, that's what you're going to remember.
And then speaking about like getting the rain on the storms, I know we've done a couple stories here. One particularly about the storm drains and rainwater. East Durham is at max sewage capacity. Okay. So it's like, okay, with the flooding, if flooding happens, you being at max sewage capacity, where is that sewage going to go if it floods? Yeah. So I can totally understand that. And then consequently, on the other end, we did a story last night about the drought effects on farmers.
Yeah.
What are you seeing right now? How does drought affect business?
So that's going to be one of the big ones is agriculture, and especially as you get into the severe and extreme drought like we have cumulatively in 94% of the state. Yeah, it's going to affect some summer crops if we don't get some help in here soon. So that's, I don't think people realize just how much of an effect agriculture has on what we do on a day-to-day basis, so that could affect other industries as well. Local restaurants that maybe really pride themselves on sourcing locally, that could be one of those things to really watch out for in the weeks ahead. Again, hopefully we can get some sort of pattern change in here. But I was looking back since September. Every single month has been a rain deficit since September. We had July and August where it was like, okay, hold up, like time out, we're getting too much rain. And now here we are asking for it. It's like feast or famine.
Oh, man, can we get some of that July and August rain?
Yeah, at least like a fraction of it.
Can we bottle it up and, take it with us to go, wrap it up in foil?
Some leftovers, yeah.
Yes, please.
Man, it'd be nice.
I know the solutions are minimal. Is there anything that farmers can do? Is there anything that people can do to, I don't know, control the weather? I know that's essentially what we're asking to fix the situation.
And I think farmers know best. It's one of those things that, like, I don't want to go stepping on their toes because that's their livelihood and probably has been since day one. It seems to be these days not just one of those things you kind of step into. You're kind of born into it. So I think they know best. But, for us, just the layman person, whether you rent an apartment, own a home, it's just maybe starting to watch a little bit how much water you're using. I know for me, it's like you're not going to be hanging out in the shower for 5 minutes singing and dancing.
Yeah, can't do that.
Again, speaking of trying to decompress, there's certain things like that. I mean, you're obviously going to do your laundry. You're going to wash your dishes. You're going to do stuff like that. Just kind of being cautious as to how much water you're using. From an aesthetic point or a cosmetic point, some of us have gardens and landscaping, and we want it to look lush and pretty and everything. But just being judicious with how you're watering those plants. It seems like common sense, but it's just little things for right now that you got to be thinking about.
Absolutely. And also, like, kind of not to scare people, but, this may happen more in the future, especially as the population grows and resources become more controlled, because people have to realize, water is not infinite. There's not an infinite amount of water that we can have. Water
Although we
is
try
a resource.
to, with the water cycle and everything, it's like Earth tries to do it. But yeah, no, you're totally right. It's, and I had a thought.
No, it's okay, because this thought is also born out of the data center conversation as well with the data centers, right? There's a finite, energy is not unlimited. There's a finite amount of energy. And when you're building these data centers near these population centers, right, that's going to take a strain on the power grid and the amount of power that people need. And now it's the same thing in a drought.
Yeah.
Water is not infinite. There's a finite amount, and you have to ration it out.
And it's funny, like we were just doing a story this morning about certain localities that are maybe doing a 1-year, ban on data centers just so that they can educate themselves more.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know specifically where, but it's something that we did mention in our newscast this morning. So, I mean, there's plenty of different ways that you can branch out this conversation. The one thing that we're going to watch for this week, and again, we're recording this April 14th, 2026, is the heat.
Okay. Heat and drought do not mix.
No, they really don't. And so on one hand, we're telling people like, yes, it's going to be hot, but hey, at least it's not going to be humid, so it'll feel a little bit better. You can cool off in the shade a little more efficiently. So that's the positive to it. But then it's like, you kind of want the humidity because then you stand a better chance of rain.
Yes.
It's so, like you said, heat and drought don't really mix. We'll get a cool down heading into next week. But yeah, we've got 4 days with the potential for 90-degree heat, which in a row in the month of April hasn't happened since 1960. The Super Bowl wasn't a thing in 1960, just to give you some perspective.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let me go call my grandparents who were born in the 60s.
I was about to say, I can't even call my parents because they weren't around in 1960.
They were not. They were not, man. You know, it's just these records keep on getting broken. Well, unfortunately, the cards are not in our hands with the drought in the equation, especially for this week. Yeah. But you know what? Stay tuned to wherever you get WRAL, and we will keep you informed as well, and telling people stories. And also, if you're a farmer and watching this, we'd love to talk to you. You know, leave a comment. We'll love to reach out to you and all those other things. Before we wrap up, where can people find you on the socials?
So WRAL_Michaels is my Instagram and TikTok, and then WRAL Chris Michaels on Facebook. Hit me up if you have suggestions as to how you're handling the drought.
Thanks so much, Chris, man. I always love talking with you.